Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Dear students, today in this lecture we will study the topic of active and passive immunization. With that, we will study about a lot of about vaccination and then hypersensitivity reactions, what are its type, and also the immunodeficiency diseases. Today's lecture is somewhat lengthy, but inshallah today we will complete the topic of immunity and also the body defense, as it also includes our first line of defense and second line of defense served by macrophages, monocytes, reticuloendothelial system, and neutrophil, all these. With that, we have a specialized immune system. So coming to the topic, active and passive immunization. In the active immunization, a non-pathogenic form of a microbe or part of a microbe produce an immune response to an immunological memory. Toxins may be treated with the chemicals or live but attenuated organisms they are injected. In passive immunity, it is conferred artificially by injecting antibodies or activated T cells into a non-immune person. In the following slides, I will show you the comparison of active and passive immunity so that each and every point should be clearly understood by you and there should no confusion about the active and passive immunity. This is the schedule for newborns to give special type of immunity, to give the special type of the vaccine against different diseases at birth. This schedule shows that the vaccination program starts at birth and at the age of 15 months it completes. But after that, in adults, we have different vaccination program. For adults also, for example, vaccination for the hepatitis, and latest we have the vaccination for the COVID. Now, if you are asked about the active and passive immunity, that compare and contrast the active and passive immunity, now I am showing the clear-cut differences between these and also the comparison, complete comparison of active and passive immunity. In the active immunization, we give you a vaccine and your immune system kicks into a high gear and sets up a series of reactions in your body to trick your body into thinking that you have actually had the disease. While in passive immunization, when you get those preformed antibodies, that is the main difference, that in passive you are getting preformed antibodies. Most of the time, your mother can give you the immunoglobulins. So my mom gave me passive immunization against polio because she had polio as a child, but that type of immunization wears over time. We have to follow it up with active immunization also. The active immunization is usually permanent, while the passive lasts only for a few weeks or months. Active produces an immunological memory, while passive does not produce it. In the active, when the antigens enter the body, antibodies and other specialized lymphocytes are produced, while in the passive, antibodies are introduced from an external source. In the active immunity, there are no side effects, but in passive, it may cause reactions. in the active immunity, it does not occur immediately because it is time consuming. While in passive, as it is a passive or antibodies they are introduced, or it is the secondary into active immunity, so it develops immediately. Other differences or comparison is for as far as antibodies they are concerned, in the active produced inside the body, while in passive introduced from outside the body, and other all differences. This is the condition for the global vaccination for newborns children worldwide. 116 million they are getting. Out of that, 86% of the children worldwide they have the vaccination, but 19 million children still miss out. Through this animation, I want to show you what is the advantage of vaccination. You can see from this animation clearly how the sick one is affecting the others if not vaccinated, so that the disease can spread easily. When some people get vaccinated, now you can check the difference. Now this time the disease spreads a little slower. Now check the most different pattern when most people get vaccinated. The disease can't spread. This is the main difference. So from this animation you can check how the vaccination make different pattern for our life. Vaccines train your body to fight germs faster, and another very nice animation to show how they are acting. They introduce a harmless form of the germ into your body. But as it is a germ, your body is going to react. For that, your immune system sounds the alarm and learns how to fight it off. Now check. What is the next step? Afterward, your immune system remembers that germ through the memory cells. Now it is there as memory cell. Whenever that germ shows up again, what happens? The preformed or through the memory cells immune system become activated. Your body fights it off right away and you don't get sick. This is the advantage or secondary reaction through the memory cells. Nowadays we are facing a very harmful and dangerous disease, that is the corona, which have affected more than 1.5 million people died and over 65 million have been infected. Almost all of the world is now affected through this corona disease. But now the government introduced a corona vaccine, and you should ready for the COVID vaccine, through which we can save our lives. But remember the mask, and second thing, that is the washing of your hands. And thirdly, the proper social distancing. So, keeping all these points in mind, we are adding the effect of the vaccination to fight against this dangerous, so much dangerous disease that is corona. Now coming to the next topic, that is the hypersensitivity reactions. Actually, they are causing cell damage through excessive immune response to the antigens. It may be overreaction to infectious agents. It may be allergic when you have the overreaction to environmental substances. And it may be autoimmune when you have the overreaction to self. Allergies are exaggerated responses to certain antigens called allergens. It may be delayed reaction allergy or atopic allergy, for example in hay fever. Now I am showing you the hypersensitivity reactions, which are actually type 1, type 2, type 3 and type 4. Through these animations, I want to show you how it occurs. Type 1 hypersensitivity reaction, it is mediated through IgE. And through this animation, you can see how it occurs. In the step 1, the production of Ig in response to an allergen takes place. The allergen enters the body and is recognized by B lymphocytes. The B lymphocyte proliferates and differentiates into plasma cells that produce and secrete IgE against epitopes of the allergen. In the second step, the plasma cells produce and secrete IgE, which binds to receptors of mast cells and basophils. And in third step, allergen cross reacting with IgE on mast cell, while in fourth step, the next time the allergen enters the body, it cross-links the web portion of the Ig bound to the mast cell, which triggers the mast cell to degranulate, that is, releases histamine and other mediators. These inflammatory mediators are now able to bind to receptor to target cells, which leads to dilation of the blood vessel, constriction of the bronchiole, excessive mucus secretion and other symptoms of the allergy. Through this slide, I want to show you how the person born with a predisposition to allergen, or I should say the components of the allergic reactions. Secondly, the person is done for the first time, and lastly, the sensitized person is done a subsequent time. This is the summary for the type 1 hypersensitivity reaction. In the type 2 hypersensitivity reaction, it includes the autoimmune disorders. You can see how it occurs, the complement activation and lysis and anti-receptor antibodies, they are generated, and these are the natural killer cells. In the type 3 hypersensitivity reaction, the deposition of immune complexes triggers inflammation, complement binding and platelet aggregation. Part of the sequence triggers vascular permeability, which then stimulates further immune complex deposition. Neutrophils fail to remove the complexes but release damaging chemicals in the process. What happens then? Then other immune reactions, other body defense mechanism, they come in and to play their part and to save our body. This is the type 4 immune reaction, delayed cellular hypersensitivity. which is mediated by T cells. A very nice comparison of type 1, 2, 3 and 4 hypersensitivity reaction. In type 1 it is mediated through IgE, type 2 IgG, type 3 immune complex mediated hypersensitivity, while type 4 is cell mediated hypersensitivity through the T cells. Again, I am going to show you what is the effect of, when any antigen enters, inflammation is caused. For example, in asthma and other diseases. An acute allergic response sometimes leads to anaphylactic shock. Also in asthma, antigen antibody reaction occur in bronchioles, causing spasm of the smooth muscle and causing the dyspnea. Now, what happens if the immune response is not there? Loss or inadequate function of various components of the immune system can occur in any part or state of the immune system. Physical barrier, phagocytes, B lymphocyte, T lymphocyte, complement natural killer cells. In the immunocompromised host has an impaired function of immune system is at high risk of infection also. It may be congenital or acquired. An inborn or primary immunodeficiency results from the hereditary or congenital defects. Acquired or secondary immunodeficiency result from exposure to various chemical and biological agents. In severe combined immunodeficiency, both the humoral and cell-mediated branches of acquired immunity fail to function. Through further research, it is confirmed that physical and emotional stress can harm your immunity. Now, what is altered immunity or immunocompromised? This is a very nice table in which I want to show you the altered anatomic barrier and immune system, their disorders and compromised functions. So with that, we complete our topic of body defense against the pathogens, including first line of defense, second line of defense, and different immune complex systems. So here I just want to revise all these things. So for the summary, what is the innate immunity? It relies on mechanism already existing before microbe infect host. It is the first line of defense, has no memory for subsequent exposure, relies on non-specific mechanism. Summary for adaptive immunity. It develops following entry of microbe into the host, comes into action after innate immunity fails to get rid of microbe, has memory to deal with subsequent exposure, happens through specific cells through T lymphocytes and B lymphocytes. In summary 3, we have the primary and secondary immune responses and also the failure of immune response. So in primary immune response, it may be short lasting, smaller in magnitude, while secondary is longer in duration and larger in magnitude and develop also memory cells. While failure of immune response can result in hypersensitivity or immunodeficiency condition. With that, we complete our topic of body defense. I hope now you can understand this topic clearly. Okay, thank you and Allah Hafiz.